Welcome back. How have y'all been?
I've been all right.
You've been all right?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I've been okay. I'm still alive
That's good.
after all these years. Her slender fingers reached out to the book on the top shelf, but instead of pulling it out, only managed to push it deeper inside.
Here you go.
Oh. Here you go. Standing behind Kozue in her wooden stand, I took the volume she was trying to reach.
I thought you went home. Oh. Damn it.
I'm sounding a lot like you this evening. I thought you went home. I held up a stuffed doll in front of her. She turned around.
I was planning to go after checking this.
Thank you, small child, who we still don't know why you're here. Ignoring the doll, she climbed down from the stand and walked over to the same desk as yesterday, while carrying a large book. I sat down in the seat in front of hers. Kozue opened the book right away and began scribbling down some notes. Oh, that is right. Lily said she could introduce you to an architect if you're interested. He could show you how the actual work gets done.
I see. When?
I am not certain. She didn't mention it, so I suppose they can arrange it whenever. You should ask her yourself. Kozue stared at me for a few long moments until finally breaking our gaze.
I have been activated. I am grateful for what you did today. Thank you.
She muttered that without looking at me while continuing to scribble away at her papers. Is this really that important for you?
Not really. I'm just looking it up because I'm curious.
How did you get interested in this place to begin with?
It was close. I don't really care what it is. I just like doing research.
I don't know if I believe that. This is a whole lot of work and effort to go into researching one particular building.
You don't believe that someone would just suddenly get really into reading about a particular thing very specifically for a long period of time for no general reason?
No, I absolutely believe that. I don't
Okay.
believe that they would get that involved to the degree where they're seeking out first-hand sources.
You don't?
Okay, that's harder for me to believe.
There are a lot of people who like crossword puzzles, right? It's the same.
Crossword puzzles.
If you know how many windows there should be in a room, you can tell how many rooms a building has just by looking at it from the outside. You can tell it has a fireplace if there's a chimney. And as you research that, you find more and more things that answer your questions. It's like a crossword puzzle, right?
So you don't have any special feelings for this place? Kozue continued to scribble without answering. All I could hear was the rustling of paper and the light thud of the pen as it pressed against the desk. I looked up at the ceiling to realize that it was already dark outside. The sounds of writing suddenly ceased. I returned my gaze to Kozue and found her staring at me.
Why do you care about me so much?
To be completely honest, it is because you remind me of a good friend.
What kind of person is she?
She regarded me with another one of her sharp stares. She was a smart girl who liked books a lot, kind of like you. You could say she was also kind of difficult to deal with. I don't think she had any other friends besides yours truly.
Hold up.
Holding up.
A smart girl who liked books. Sachiko. Who didn't have any other friends besides yours truly? Narasaki?
So, in which case Takako was entirely made up?
What the fuck?
I don't... Or maybe she means it in the more like for most of her life she's had no friends besides me.
Maybe, but it specifically talks about her as a girl.
What if?
Yeah.
Okay. If we're rolling with this for a bit here. Well, then what are the scenes we see of Takako?
I have no fucking idea.
What if Takako was a... Okay, so if we play this out, what is the most likely scenario then? That Takako is a character in a book that Sachiko became attached to the point of near delusion? A book perhaps called SeaBed? It's not implausible. It's not implausible. And we've had a lot of challenges to our initial theories so far, so I think it's something to keep in mind. But it's also possible she's not talking about Sachiko here.
Yeah.
Kozue mumbled something as she began stuffing notes into her bag. I picked up the book she left lying on the table. Kozue didn't say anything, so I returned it to its original place on the shelf. I turned around to see Kozue staring at me, all ready to go. She broke our gaze right away and started toward the exit. I followed after her, leaving the library. I caught up to her on the stone-paved road and continued walking with her until we came to the fork that split off to the mansion. So this is a separate building from the... Okay. Well, yeah, but... You live behind that mountain?
Yes.
I heard there was a small village there. Is it close?
Yes.
I would love to see it someday. Can I come with you for part of the way? Kozue stole a short glance at me and let out a small sigh. She didn't outright reject me, so I kept going.
A small village at this time of year in this part of Japan, localized entirely behind the mountain.
Yes.
May I see it?
No. We passed the road that split to the mansion, eventually reaching a set of stone stairs. We ascended them and found ourselves on an outside road. Kozue continued up the slanted, unpaved slope without changing her speed. Looking behind, I saw the three-way junction as we passed with the car back when I first came to the mansion. I turned back and addressed Kozue. How did you feel about meeting Lily today? I caught up to Kozue and lined up next to her. She gave me a puzzled look.
Everyone was calling her an aunt, so I imagined it'd be someone older. I thought she'd be at least as old as Nanai's mother.
Imagine it'd be someone older. At least as old as Nanai's mother.
Interesting.
So...
How does that line up with the pictures, then? With the pictures, it sure looked like Nanai's mom and her aunt were there and the same age in the same photo.
Everyone was calling her an aunt, so imagine it'd be someone older. I thought she... Yeah, that's... So... Huh.
Nobody's age makes sense in this game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that, like, no one's age is... It's also been a hot minute since we last recorded an episode, so I'm having trouble repicturing everything and everyone in their place, but... Huh. So Lily was the one that she met that made them the pastries.
That had the unexpectedly intense face.
Yes. Weird. I don't know if we're meant to look into this or not, but hey, it's a detail. Kozue didn't seem too interested and just shrugged.
What if there's no mystery?
What if? But then, how do we explain anything?
What if it turns out that there's just an obvious reason everything is exactly the way it seemed?
Oh my god.
We've just deluded ourselves into thinking there's a mystery here for us to crack.
What if? What if? After a few minutes, we found ourselves in front of a small tunnel. A single car would have trouble fitting in. We reached the end of the short tunnel and emerged onto a wide basin. The irrigation ditches sprawled all across the area, disappearing beyond the mountain. A small river flowed in the middle. Most of the fields were either rice or wheat plantations, with a few isolated farms visible here and there. We continued down the gentle slope of the unpaved road along the river. It's quite beautiful here.
There's nothing here.
That can be a good thing depending on how you look at it. I stopped, but Kozue did not. The distance between us began to grow. I think I'll be turning back around here. Kozue seemed on the verge of looking back, but ended up continuing onwards, without paying me any further attention. As I made my way back through the tunnel, I realized the southern end of the mountain was brighter than the northern one.
I was walking through the inner yard, watching the orange-tinted light of dusk illuminate the second-floor windows, when I spotted Nanai approaching with a cartwheel of vegetables. She looked like a beggar from some old fable, her forehead covered in sweat and mud, her face frozen in a broad smile.
Oh, hello there.
She waved my way after spotting me, just like she did this morning. Looks like it was a bountiful harvest.
Well, we're having lots of fresh vegetables for dinner tonight. Oh, that's right. Did you manage to meet my auntie?
Yes. I raised the basket in front of her.
I see you got yourself some, Is this? I wish it was easier to tell who's talking when, right? Okay, it is her.
Yeah.
I see you got yourself some polverons. I saw her making them this morning. I gave her Narasaki voice. Help me! Those things ought to die for.
Care for some?
Are you, sir?
Yes.
Well, alright then.
Nanai came closer, pulling her hands out of muddy cotton gloves.
Oh.
There was still some dirt on her hands. It must have seeped through the gloves. Here you go. I picked up one of the polverons and dangled it in front of Nanai's mouth. She took a bite.
It's so good. I love how much it melts in your mouth,
she said while wiping her forehead. Is Lily not a full-blooded Japanese?
Huh?
Nanai paused for a few moments, then burst into laughter.
I see she still introduces herself as that.
Is that not her real name? I gave her an incredulous look.
She is 100% Japanese. It's just that, apparently, she thought her real name didn't suit the mood of this place, so she changed it up a bit.
I can respect that.
Her real name is Eureka.
That's a beautiful name.
I agree. Lily was apparently the name of a character in a movie she liked as a child, but I can't comment much on that since I never saw it.
I see. Convenient that Lily is the character she liked when her name was Yurika. Nanai's glance was transfixed on the basket, so I gave her another polveron.
Anyway, I've got to go back and start preparing for dinner.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Oh, you totally should.
What?
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
The nurse leaned down and waved the boy goodbye.
Goodbye.
The boy took his mother's hand, who had leaned down just like the nurse, and continued toward the gates of the kindergarten where his parents' car waited. Red dragonflies fluttered against the backdrop of the crimson sunset. I returned to my book. After a bit of time, another car arrived, and there was one less child again.
Hey, what are you eating?
A child's voice caught me unawares.
Hold on, this is Tiny Takako, so her voice has to be higher.
I looked from the book to see a young girl with a ponytail staring at me. The second tail hadn't grown in yet back then.
Let's play if you're alone.
She suggested before I could answer. I'm not alone.
Huh?
I glanced at my red-haired friend beside me. Whoa! Wait a second.
Hold on. Hold on.
Is Narasaki real? Ah!
Hello there.
So, wait. The red hair... Young Sachiko says she's not alone, and she's glancing at the red-haired friend there beside her. And Takako here is like, oh, you're alone.
Well, let's see how this plays out, but... Oh, that's the end of the scene. That's the end of the scene.
It's... So, just
Okay,
saying, it is
so-
super weird that Narasaki just happens to show up at this place that Sachiko has gone to, if she did go to a place, and indeed isn't just staying in the same building, which is the clinic.
What if there is no Narasaki at the Narasaki clinic?
Yeah. That would explain why some of Narasaki's scenes in the tips and so on are like spelunking through what we think is Sachiko's memories in the shape of a building or so on. It's Sachiko trying to get her
Who's the
own brain
Narasaki that we're
together.
seeing the scenes from?
I have no idea.
Has she interacted with anyone else?
Yeah.
She interacted with Kozue.
And Lily and everybody
Okay, yeah,
was there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we also know Sachiko's we also know that Sachiko's
We can't trust what she
hallucinations.
sees.
and also Narasaki did arrive strangely in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah. Who is real at this point?
God damn it, this game. Okay, see, you're understanding why I needed to play this game with you now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. This is good shit.
Remind me we have to listen to Is This Real after we're done here.
Is this real, huh?
Yeah.
Or is this just fantasy?
No, not
Before we go any further here, we will
tip the tips.
yeah.
This game is going to give me brainitis. Who is actually here at this point? At this point, we have had reasons now to believe that each of the three main characters don't exist.
It's so good. I don't know. I don't. Let's see what. Okay.
What
so
if none of them do?
the ones we unlocked were bathroom and bedroom,
Okay.
or bathroom and kitchen.
Okay.
Oh no. There we go. Sachiko was on room 208's bed, her upper body raised. Her gaze was fixed in front of her. It didn't seem like she had noticed me just yet. I tried addressing her, but received no reaction. Are you all right? Upon drawing closer to the bed, I noticed that she was soaked all over and shaking from the cold. Her face and her skin in general was paler than ever. I placed a hand on her bed. The thing was as cold as ice. I called out her name and placed my hand on her shoulder. Can you tell who I am? Sachiko slowly looked up at me. As her eyes finally began to focus, she asked me in a tone calm and natural what I was doing there so late at night.
Is this the scene where Narasaki appears at the mansion?
Mm-hmm.
Just this is from Narasaki's perspective. We're back on Narasaki is real, but like,
Okay.
remember they're like, Sachiko's freaking out and then zips outside and then suddenly Narasaki is there.
Yeah.
And Sachiko just immediately, super normally is like, wait, why are you here so late at night, Narasaki?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the same thing that's getting asked here.
I came over to see how you were doing. Are you feeling okay?
I'm a bit cold.
I gave her a nod. You seem to be freezing. I think you should take a hot bath. I stuck my hands under Sachiko's freezing knees and chest. lifted her up, and carried her all the way to the bathroom. I made her sit on the edge of the bathtub. However, as I was preparing the shower, she stopped me, saying that she could handle that much herself. So Sachiko is definitely in a position where she's not able to handle many things herself.
Mm-hmm.
I took Sachiko's soaked clothes and left the bathroom. The loud hiss of the shower filled my ears. Through the glass of the adjacent washroom, I continued keeping an eye on her. Still sitting on the edge of the bathtub, Sachiko poured some hot water on herself. White steam escaped through the slit in the open door. I leaned against the bathroom wall and organized my thoughts. A whole bunch of unnatural phenomenon occurred in quick succession. From how Sachiko's bed was cold to the touch, to how I was seemingly transported to a completely unfamiliar room for a brief period of time. I wanted to investigate the room again, but I couldn't leave Sachiko on her own. I also felt quite obvious that she was at the center of it all. Sachiko kept telling me how certain things happening at the clinic were odd. However, she had yet to say a single thing about that earlier phenomenon. It was possible that to her, what had happened wasn't odd in the slightest. I gave the notebook I'd previously placed on the bathroom shelf a glance. I ended up bringing it with me in the heat of the moment. After giving the shower another quick look, I picked up the notebook. I opened to the last few entries, the ones I had previously skipped. I had a passage about how Takako was feeling worse. She passed away due to an illness. There were no details regarding the exact nature of the illness, but it seemed like Takako wasn't hospitalized and instead received treatment at home.
What?
What?
Okay, now read the next line.
I looked for the date that Sachiko had come to my clinic, but there was no entry like that.
What?
What? Okay, so we're operating on several different levels of unreliable narrators here. Because
Yeah. At this point, I'm thinking like, is this a folie à trois situation?
I don't
where
think it's as simple as that, but maybe.
we have three unreliable narrators with a shared madness, and we can't trust any of them, and are trying to grasp at the truth of what actually happened through all that.
Maybe
Is that what's happening?
Maybe. I think if I had to take just a shot in the dark, given what the small detail the game has primed for us, I'm willing to bet one of these layers is of a fictional character. One of the levels is going to be resolved by it's a fictive character.
Okay.
At least that's what I think. But that's just based on the detail the game gave and just being savvy of the genre.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I flipped back to the last entry. It was yesterday. I heard the shower handle turn and accompanied by the sound of the water gradually stopping. I dressed Sachiko, successfully catching her attention. I'll bring you a change of clothes.
All right.
You should also take a bath if you're still feeling cold.
It's okay. I think I've warmed up enough.
I left the room to get her a change of clothes. Both the corridor and the room that had returned to a normal temperature, but I didn't feel like investigating that right now. I grabbed some clothes from the wardrobe and hurried back to the bathroom. Sachiko was still sitting on the other side of the glass door. As I placed her clothes in the bathroom basket, she suddenly asked me how long it had been since she came here. Today makes the 5th day.
I've never stayed here for that long.
Yeah.
Are you sure I'm not bothering you?
I'd rather you didn't think like that. This is my job, after all.
But I have to do my best to cooperate, right?
It would certainly make the process easier.
I suppose so.
Is there anything in particular that you would like me to do?
I thought about it, but I'm not sure.
Everything in this clinic exists for a reason. Do you remember how you got here?
I don't. I'm sorry. I was here before I realized it.
There has to be something.
What do you think?
I thought back to the day that Sachiko came here. The first thing she did was tell me about Takako. I tried to avoid the subject so as not to upset her, but perhaps that was precisely the hint for what she wanted from me. Perhaps you came here to talk about Takako.
To talk about Takako? What exactly?
Let's see. For example, I don't know much about what happened to you two after you left for Tokyo. I would definitely be interested to hear more about that.
All sorts of things happened.
Well, then how about we talk about that for a while after you're done? I mean, if you're okay with it.
In the middle of the night.
I finally remembered what time it was. Still, I didn't feel like I'd be able to sleep, and I figured it would be for the best to hear her out as soon as possible. I'm good as long as you're not too sleepy. Sachiko ended up agreeing to my proposition. Sachiko finished her bath, got changed, and dried her hair in her room. In the meantime, I prepared some coffee and white chocolate for us to snack on. Sachiko sat down in her seat and began telling me about her memories of the past, starting from when they left our hometown. About how they were originally employees of a particular company, about how they quit, how they traveled to countless countries together. Sachiko summarized everything briefly, but with enough detail to give me a vivid picture of everything that had happened. Originally employees of a particular company, and they both quit and then traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I went to a southern island with Takako quite a while back. As we were gazing at the stars there, she said that nothing that happened would ever disappear, the same way we still saw the light of stars from 100 years ago in the night sky. That the same sight would still be visible in real time on some faraway planet.
I feel the same way.
But if that's true, I wonder how far I'll be able to go without her.
You remember her just fine, don't you?
I hope so.
Our conversation paused there as Sachiko took a sip of the coffee. She told me a large variety of stories, and all of them were easy to understand. I heard about their plans for the future, the hurdles they ran into, and the ways they managed to overcome them. Her memories were clear and precise, like stories from a book.
Yeah?
Yeah, we've already been thinking that the reason there's so much clarity and specificity to Sachiko's memories of her vacation with Takako is because they didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They all had roots which connected to the trunk and then the branches, ending in countless leaves and fruits, each a story on its own. As a result, I didn't merely listen. I saw what she had once seen.
Perhaps I really did want to talk to someone about Takako.
Sachiko placed the cup on the table. I agreed. I'm impressed you were getting around even better than I thought.
I can tell what you were thinking about us.
Sachiko made a faint smile. I mean, I am impressed that you retained your free spirit even while working for a company.
It wasn't exactly easy, but it wasn't too hard either.
You were always smart, and Takako was always decisive and the first to act. I think you made quite a great team.
Takako's actually really smart herself, at least when it comes to ideas and inventiveness. You leave her to her own devices for a couple minutes and she'll soon find something to amuse herself with.
Hey, did you know that there's this weird flap of skin on your elbow? Yeah, it's so weird. Why does it do that?
Even back in elementary school, she kept getting us involved in all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Whether it's a game or a job, she never runs out of ideas.
Oh, did we swapped?
Did we?
Yeah. Yeah, whether it's a game or a job, she never runs out of ideas. Compared to that, I was no better than a dry well. I only survived because she kept sharing her water with me, if you know what I mean.
Takako may have chosen you because you know how to put that water to use.
If you know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean. Explain it.
I can't.
Sachiko paused and focused her eyes on top of the table. Perhaps Takako noticed your talent from the very beginning.
She has a pretty good intuition, too.
Sachiko took a bite at the chocolate, sipped her coffee, and let out a breath. Her movements were smooth and deliberate, giving her a somewhat refined air. Looked like she had finally managed to relax a little.
I wanted to share my memories with someone. Up until now, if I ever had doubts about something, all I had to do was ask Takako, but from now on, I'll have to start thinking for myself. But then, the memories we shared are too detailed and plentiful for one person.
I'm not entirely sure that I understand. Sachiko shook her head.
I'm sorry, that was a poor choice of words. I myself don't understand half of what I meant.
I know that you're trying to tell me something. It would have been better if I could have predicted it by myself, but...
It's okay, thank you.
Sachiko made a gentle smile. However, seeing that made me feel somewhat sad. There would probably never appear another person in her life who could understand her from half a word. And I knew that the parts no one could understand would sooner or later disappear from one's mind.
That's an interesting turn of phrase. Not in the sense of I think it's a clue or anything. That's just a really interesting turn of phrase. The idea that in order to have a facet of oneself, you have to have someone in your life who can understand it. Otherwise, sooner or later, it'll go away on its own. It'll be gone. I've never thought about that.
That is a fascinating way of thinking about it. But at least I can make certain to remember everything that you tell me.
The past won't change, even if I forget it.
Memories and their loss is exactly what I am researching. You could say that I'm a professional at not letting people forget things.
I just want some weight off my shoulders.
I brought my chair over to the bed and kept talking to Sachiko until she fell asleep. I summarized the highlights of my conversation with her on a memo pad. The clock had just struck 2 a.m. What a strange game this is.
Yeah.
Got one more tips to read through. Complete silence descended upon the room as Sachiko fell asleep, almost as if time itself had stopped. I grabbed the notebook I found early and started reading it from the beginning. It felt a bit different after having heard Sachiko talk about these memories, like it would lead me back to that cold, dark room. After reading through the entire notebook, I returned to the first page. This time I compared its contents with my own memos about what Sachiko had told me, hoping to find the date marking the divergence between the two. I rubbed my heavy eyelids with one hand while the other was busy holding down the diary. After some careful deliberation, I picked out a date, placed the notebook on my knees and opened it to the corresponding page. I read through the entry one more time, pulled out a cutter knife from my coat pocket, and removed all the entries after that date from the notebook.
What?
I tucked those pages into my pocket. 4:30 according to the clock. Gave the black window a look. Looked almost as like the darkness was swirling inside its frame. My arm slipped from the armrest, pulling me out of sleep. Sachiko slowly sat up in bed. Good morning.
Good morning.
After greeting me in a low voice, Sachiko looked at the clock. It was 12 o'clock. Are you hungry? Sachiko opened her mouth and then closed it again and nodded. We left the room together and continued to the kitchen. I looked for something in the fridge that could be eaten with little preparation. In the end, I pulled out some bread, pork chops, cheese, and salad, placing them all on a plate. I cleaned everything from the table, carried the chair back from the corner of the room to it, and made Sachiko sit down. As I was filling our cups with freshly made coffee, Sachiko finally gave me a sober look.
Did it go well yesterday?
I did all that I could. Sitting down in my chair, I put some cheese and salad onto my bread and took a bite. Sachiko mimicked me. One sandwich was enough to fill me up. I was more concerned with sleeping than eating at the moment. Meanwhile, Sachiko ate 3 sandwiches. Would you like me to bring another one?
No, I've had enough.
You ate quite a bit, if I'm being completely honest.
I was feeling really hungry.
You had no appetite over the past few days, so that is a relief.
I feel a lot better, thank you.
Sachiko took a sip of her coffee. I picked up a slice of cheese that didn't fit on any of the sandwiches. Sachiko placed the coffee cup on the table and glanced at the window. The outer part of the window was protected by black bars that were slightly bent at their edges. Beyond them, you could see the trunk of the tree in the inner yard. I couldn't tell exactly what she was looking at. I'll keep this diary for you. There was nothing but disinterest in Sachiko's voice as she gave me her permission. Feelings always fade with time. It's hard to maintain them if you live your life normally.
Are you trying to console me?
Yes.
That was so convoluted I barely understood it.
Sachiko made a cheerful smile and looked at her hands resting on her knees.
We started writing that after Takako got sick. Perhaps it's best to do as you say.
I'll keep it for you. And also, once you find that your mood has returned to normal, the sooner you leave this place, the better. Still holding her coffee cup, Sachiko thanked me with a nod. I met her gratitude with a smile. I'll prepare a bath for the evening. We ended up chatting half the night away, so how about we let some hot water wash the exhaustion away and go to bed early for now? Huh. You know what? I kind of came in with a bit of an ego on this one. I'm like, oh, we've been doing so well with these games. I'm still struggling here.
Yeah.
This is... so many different things happen. And I don't see a way they all fit together. Well, let's continue anyway.
Yeah.
I woke up around noon after the day I had my fit. Both the headache and the ringing in my ears were gone without a trace. I sat up, I spotted a familiar notebook resting on the dining table. Mayuko told me to stay in the night duty room until she returned, so I killed some time by doing nothing in particular. After that, Mayuko brought me lunch and we ate together. It was udon and some tangerines. I wanted something more interesting.
Don't force yourself to eat everything if you aren't feeling hungry.
Does she have Narasaki face? Is that what it is?
I feel like that's what you said the last time you commented on it. I can't tell if it's just same art style or what.
I think I'm okay. If anything, I feel like my appetite has gone up.
Most of the other patients have trouble getting out of bed the next day following a fit. It can even upset their life rhythm. With that in mind, I think it'd be better for you to have something light now, and maybe eat a bit more for dinner later. And this was your first fit since coming here, right?
I nodded.
I'll have to read all that now.
I asked, pointing at the notebook on the table.
I explained your condition a while back. Do you remember?
I do.
It was something this place specialized in, a fit-induced amnesia. I'd lose some of my memories with each new attack. That's kind of what we had been suspecting was also happening with Sachiko. But it was a newly discovered disease that had yet to even be named. So in here we just called it the condition.
Most patients tend to lose larger chunks of memories, ranging from a 1-month period to an entire year. Sometimes even more.
But you never really forget things gradually, little by little, right?
Right. You lose a whole set of memories right away, and that's it.
Mayuko answered with a nod.
As such, you can skim through the parts of your diary that you are sure you can remember. You will spot the bits you've forgotten right away. Although if you're curious, you can read all of it as many times as you want.
Yeah, I just forgotten a day or two that aren't even logged.
I picked up the old notebook. With that as her cue, Mayuko stood up.
I'll come check on you when I have some time off from work.
Oh, you're worrying too much.
Mayuko slid her feet into her slippers, gave me a quick smile, and left the room. Once I was sure she had left, I heaved a brief sigh, and then I opened the diary. Because if Sachiko's keeping one as well, then Sachiko also has the same. Right. There were 3 notebooks in total, including the new one, which only had a few days recorded in it. One notebook encompassed about a year, which meant I had about 2 years worth recorded. Wait, and that means that Narasaki deliberately sabotaged Sachiko's ability to remember things properly by removing the diary that she would have used
Yeah,
to figure out what she was missing after a fit.
but you'll note that what did she take out?
Everything past the point where a point of divergence.
Yeah, so I wonder.
She's already been collecting. Has she been like backfilling false memories to make?
That's what I was wondering. Is it something like Sachiko's been backfilling all these false memories into her diary, and as she forgets more and more, she reads the diary, picks up the false memories that were in there, and goes from there. And that's how it gradually gets more and more elaborate and turns into all these fantastic, super detailed stories of all these travels and so on. None of which happened because originally it was just, oh, I traveled overseas that one time with Takako before she died. And then, you know, after a bunch of rounds of forget it, hallucinate in some details to explain the bits that don't make sense, fill in the rest, put down the distorted version in the diary, you end up where we are now.
Oh wow, I think that's it. I think that's got to be it. And that explains a lot of the strange inconsistencies. Just hearing them talk about how exactly it works makes a whole lot more sense.
Is this past the point that you got to when you were playing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How far did you get?
A little bit around here-ish, I
Okay.
think. I don't recall exactly. But this is all new to me right now. Either way, at this point, this is all new to me.
So we are now both in the same boat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I turned to the first page and ran my eyes over the first entry, written in my hand. Looking at my own writing was a little embarrassing. On the other hand, seeing my past self come to life on the pages was quite exciting, so I read everything without skipping a single detail. By the time I got to the second month, though, I realized it was taking too long. After that, I only started reading every second or third entry. There are parts I remembered well, some I had forgotten. I'd wake up, do some work, eat, take a bath, go to sleep. Pretty much that over and over and over again. Could only really keep track of entries that mentioned something unusual. As such, I continued through the notebook, reminiscing about my past. From time to time, I felt as though there was another me inside that notebook, and I was simply observing her from high above. At times like that, I felt like my past self wasn't really me at all. Evening had come. Around the time my notebook's pages had begun to be tinted in orange, Mayuko dropped by the room. I was starting to get hungry, but when I asked her about it, she said that dinner would soon be ready. She also told me to try and bear it for a little while longer, and only handed me a few candies to ease my immediate hunger.
Gotta have those sweets.
Ah, yeah. Rectangular prisms. They're my favorite.
The rectangle-shaped candies came in wrappings of various different colors. I unwrapped a green one first and put it into my mouth, then she did the same with the pink one. They both had about the same taste.
Oh, this brings back memories. I think my grandmother used to give me candies just like these. Where'd you get them from, Mayuko?
I don't remember. I think I just bought them at the store.
She meant the small privately owned store at the port.
Huh. Pretty interesting to see stores over here that don't belong to any chain. You don't see their kind much in the big city.
Your grandmother must have bought candies from a store just like that.
After some more small talk, Mayuko left the room to prepare dinner.
Suddenly hit by a blast of nostalgia from visiting the store after school, which at that time like hadn't yet been replaced by a fucking 7-Eleven or whatever, and there was just like, oh,
What was it for you?
I don't remember the actual name of the store from my hometown when I was in middle school, but we'd ride our bikes over to it. It was on the way to the town center. I always got those Sobe drinks and chocolate bars.
Yep.
And then it's just like, oh, by the way, none of those exist anymore.
Yeah, it's just not a thing. Like, we also had, like, the general store kind of on the main strip of our town. And, like, it'd be right on the way back from school. So if I was walking home that day, you know, could just walk right by it. And, like, jars full of penny candy.
Yep.
In the windows, just, you know. God. And it's weird to feel nostalgia for that kind of thing.
And then you go to the particular suburbs that are affluent enough to still have one for ornamental reasons.
Yeah, exactly. One that's just there because it's fashionable to have one.
Yeah.
I do miss those things about my hometown. Stuff like the particularly nice local sandwich shop we had that just never found a good one like it anywhere else. Always stuff like that.
Yep.
Anyway, when she came back, the sun had already set. I had finished reading the diary and was about to put some tea into the water I boiled for myself.
Have you finished?
Yeah, more or less.
Did you spot any parts you have forgotten?
I
tilted my head a little.
Not really. A few parts I could barely remember, but nothing to the extent where I'd start suspecting my memories were gone.
So there were no passages that felt completely new to you?
No, can't say that there were.
I see.
That mean I didn't forget anything this time around?
Mayuko slowly shook her head.
I doubt that. There are times when you feel you haven't forgotten anything, but it turns out to be just a short episode that wasn't really important. Or it was something you remembered as you read the diary. In your case, I'd say it could be either of those possibilities.
I see.
Mayuko interrupted me as I wrestled with that possibility.
I'm sure you're tired, Takako. I have your dinner ready.
What'd you make me tonight?
You'll find out when you come to the cafeteria.
I followed Mayuko out of the room.
I made it a little more extravagant than usual, so you can look forward to it.
Oh, you remember I'm not a fan of yam and vinegar, right?
I hated those things, but Mayuko loved them. Wasn't to the extent that I couldn't eat them, but they tended to come up a lot in dishes Mayuko labeled as delicious, so... That Pollock roe wasn't too bad when I forced myself to try it, but...
This time I made sure to fix up something you'd definitely like.
Our dinner tonight turned out to be a Hamburg steak and fried prawn. I pointed out to Mayuko that she might be treating me too much like a child, although I appreciated getting an extra portion of rice.
Yeah.
The next day, my life returned to its usual rhythm. Woke up in the morning, exercised, did the work I was asked, ate, bathed, wrote in my diary, and slept. Nothing in my schedule changed too much, except maybe for the fact that I spent more time in the night duty room with Mayuko.
Yeah. Takako, lady killer of the sanatorium. Back in action.
What?
Why are we getting a CG for this?
Why not?
I mean, it's great, but keep it going, but...
The weather was great this morning. Warm sunlight entered my room through the windows as the sound of radio calisthenics reverberated across the walls. My hand touched Mayuko's as I stretched out my chest. Today she was exercising next to me. It suddenly got pretty cramped in there when we both extended our arms. Mayuko continued her exercise without minding me, so I tried turning a little so she wouldn't be on the same line, before I realized that though she had already turned as well.
It's nice to exercise once in a while.
Mayuko wore a skirt, so she skipped most of the leg-related exercises that would have been too revealing.
You should do this every day.
Yeah, it reminds me of summer vacations back in elementary school.
Did you have to do it for stamps, too?
Yes. When I was in my 6th year, I was actually the one doing the stamping.
I did that, too. I used my usual family name stamp, but the ones with more complicated names got priority treatment. The more strokes, the better. Names that look cooler on paper, apparently.
The exercise ended with the taking of a deep breath. I let my hands fall to my sides. Then I turned off the radio.
Are you sure it's not just your imagination? I used my family name stamp too and didn't feel I was treated different from anybody else.
Your boobs have always been big, haven't they?
Mayuko remained silent until I turned around and our eyes met.
I think that's just your imagination too.
Nah, it's gigantic honkers. Back pain inducing. Now that I think about it, I never managed to make it through all the exercises during my vacations. Did you get anything if you end up with a perfect stamp record?
No idea. Maybe they award you with stationery or alarm clocks or something along those lines.
I figured it'd be something like that.
I sat down on the bed.
Why alarm clocks, though? Like, I get the part about stationery, sure, but...
At our school, that was the prize for a perfect attendance record.
Really something a person with a perfect attendance record would need?
Perhaps not.
Mayuko smiled to herself.
You're a pretty diligent one, though, Mayuko. How come you couldn't keep up a perfect attendance record for the radio exercises?
Our family went to my grandparents' house for Obon. Most other families also go on trips during the summer, so getting that prize is not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Mayuko picked up a small parcel from one of the shelves and held it up in front of me.
Look, I found this in the storage room on cleaning day.
It was wrapped in light brown craft paper and had the size and weight of a dictionary or really thick book. Upon checking the other side, I realized it was addressed to me.
Where exactly did you find this?
The storage room on the second floor. It might have gotten there by accident when we were rearranging our belongings.
Huh.
It's not written whom it's from. I think there's a book or something like that inside.
That's some good paper. Hate to tear it open my hand, so should maybe lend me a knife?
Of course.
Ha! Knife acquired. You know, I'm no longer trapped in here with you. Y'all are trapped in here with Takako.
Without getting up from the bed, I reached out and placed the parcel on the side table. After that, I returned to my previous position,
Well then, let's go do the laundry.
said Mayuko.
I had a really scary dream the other day.
The morning sun filled the second floor corridor with its bright rays of light. Mayuko's silhouette flickered in between the light coming from the window and the shadows covering the walls.
What kind of dream was that?
Can't remember it anymore.
Mayuko picked up the laundry basket, her expression blank. I was helping her with the laundry today, so I had a basket in my hands as well.
All I remember is that it was really scary.
Well, sometimes remembering dreams like that makes you realize they weren't all that scary at all.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
I'm not sure I can help you there.
She turned to me, making the top sheets begin to slide off from her basket.
Oh,
I caught them with one hand.
nice catch.
Well, I got a golden glove for this, do you think?
I wrapped the sheet around my hand and returned it to the top of the basket.
Perhaps, but try not to go too crazy with the workout routine until you start feeling better.
We continued down the corridor, its wooden floorboards creaking below our feet. I glanced out the window through the branches of the camphor tree and spotted a girl walking down the stone-paved path.
Sanai?
Mayuko looked out the window too. The girl momentarily disappeared among the branches blocking our sight, but then popped up again on the entrance to the building on the other side.
Fuck! No! No!
No!
No!
No!
No!
That can't...
No!
Okay, so that means one of the... Operating off of our theory, that means one of the series of events we're seeing has to be the misremembered series of events.
Or the series if one of them is a written story.
Yeah.
Something like that. One of these series of events isn't happening in the way it seems.
Maybe this series of events... Hear me out.
Mhm.
Maybe Takako's series of events here is the misremembered version that Sachiko has been backfilling in order to explain what's happening, but she's filling it in with details from her present-day stay in the place. So things that seem incongruous or out of time and out of place. Like Kozue.
Yeah! Holy shit, that makes so much sense.
Because Kozue is a child and shouldn't have...
And this place being a sanatorium that Takako is in, despite the fact that that was before the fucking war.
Right? And also the fact that it somehow has all of the characters and stuff look similar to people around her,
And that according to what Nagasaki saw, Takako was not hospitalized.
exactly, she went because she died at home. So I think what we're seeing, I think what we're seeing with Takako then are Sachiko's backfilled memories. of what Takako's final days must have been like.
Yeah.
And she's filled them in with details from her own stay there,
Yeah.
which is why stuff like Kozue shows up here.
That makes so much sense.
It makes some kind of sense,
I feel like it's better than our other
which is
attempts
where
so
she was
far.
older than she appeared.
Yeah.
There was some evidence still for that. but
Yeah.
That might, to be
That might
honest,
still be
that
the
might still be
case.
the case.
But it felt like it didn't explain the things
Everything,
we wanted
right.
to explain, and this explains the things we wanted to explain.
Kozue disappeared into the West Wing building, her silky hair fluttering behind her.
Maybe she went for a walk. I mean, the weather's pretty nice, huh?
It certainly is, and a great day for laundry, too.
Oh, you got me.
Mayuko resumed walking through the corridor.
True enough.
It was indeed a perfect day for laundry. But I think of the two versions of events, I think we're more likely to doubt Takako's version of the stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we seem to have more things suggesting that couldn't have happened as it...
But at the same time, we also know that Sachiko completely hallucinates versions of events that are portrayed to us as real on screen.
Yep. Yep, that's true.
So I guess don't trust either.
Who thought it would be so hard to figure out a game that literally tells you its characters are lying to you?
And we can't trust Narasaki's version of events in the tips either, because those contain fantastical details that did not happen.
Yeah! A gust of wind swept across the roof, the white sheets attached to the long iron bars fluttering in its wake. The dazzling blue sky extended all the way to the sea. A handful of few puddles littered the roof as the only remnants of the heavy rainfall we'd been having lately, well, aside from the dew on the tree leaves.
Please hold that side for me.
All right.
I clasped one side of the sheet while Mayuko pinned it to the iron bar. With that, our baskets were now empty.
I guess we're done.
Thank you for your help. This took a lot less time than I thought it would.
Oh, yeah.
Aside from a few smaller clouds that looked like torn up pieces of cotton drifting around, the sky was blue as far as the eye could see. I could feel a cool, somewhat moist breeze on my skin.
When does your job start?
Right after lunch, around 1 o'clock, I suppose.
Why don't we do some sunbathing until then? I mean, I used the Sunbather album art for that one eye catch for this series, so...
Takako, what the fuck are you talking about?
Sunbathing! You don't like black gays?
We haven't invented metal yet.
But yeah, they have. Metal has definitely been invented.
What time is it now?
Okay, if it... Because metal was like the 70s, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, when it first... But yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Mayuko looked around the roof, then up at the sky. The white sheets fluttered in front of a blue background.
The floor is still a little wet, though.
Let's use the picnic sheet you got in your room.
It's pretty warm today, so I suppose we might as well.
Oh, yeah. It isn't a visual novel. If you don't have a scene between two characters on top of the roof of a building they're not supposed to be on top of.
Finding the driest area, we spread out our pink polyester sheet. We took off our shoes and sat down. Mayuko took out a sandwich, delicately wrapped in brown paper, from the basket and handed it to me. I undid the wrapping to realize it was made so I could eat it without my hand coming in direct contact with the sandwich.
Did you do this wrapping? Looks like something that could be sold in stores.
It's easy. I can teach you how to do it later.
I can teach your face how to do it later.
Got him.
Yeah, do that.
The sandwich had some potato salad, 2 thinly sliced pieces of tomato, and some lettuce decorating the whole thing like laces. Hungry after all the work I did today, I quickly took a bite.
Nom 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 nom. Tastes great.
No need to rush. I have a whole lot more where that came from.
You're supposed to say more filling. And I was supposed to say tastes great. Have you not seen Seinfeld, Mayuko?
We haven't invented that yet.
Mayuko pulled out a pot and 2 teacups from the basket and filled them with black tea.
Would you have preferred green tea?
I'm fine with black.
Today's tea was not bitter at all and smelled like fruit. I placed the cup down and grabbed another sandwich from the box. This one had scrambled eggs, pieces of thinly sliced ham, and lettuce. The fresh lettuce perfectly complemented the soft texture of the ham and eggs. I ended up gobbling the whole thing down right away.
No.
It feels nice to see someone enjoy the food you made.
Well, it's super delicious for one. I'm sure you'd be popular if you opened a shop.
That's a good idea.
Mayuko made a happy smile.
Yeah! I could be the owner.
Oh, are you familiar with management?
Sure I am. Provided I get to eat food like this every day, I'll be familiar with whatever you want me to be familiar with.
In that case, I'll think about
I've
it.
got a bad case of side mouth, too.
The sea breeze ruffled my hair a bit. The waves of the blue sea gave way for the waves of the green as the trees across the entire mountain swayed in sync with the wind.
Have you gotten used to the sanatorium, Takako?
Yeah, more or less. It's full of beautiful sights, the meals are delicious, and best of all, there's a good-looking nurse with huge boobs.
Mayuko looked down at her breasts.
That's sexual harassment.
I'm sorry, don't sue me. I can't be held legally responsible for my actions.
Well, okay, I'll forgive you this one time.
I plead boob sanity. I'm insane for boobs.
I don't think that's in the DSM.
It is in my world. Thanks.
Oh no. Wait.
What?
So if this version of events isn't real and this is what Sachiko backfilled,
Mm-hmm.
does... Huh. Did that mean she, inserted herself as Mayuko into the memories?
That makes sense.
She's imagining herself with bigger boobs, is my point. just throwing that out there. Oh, hold on. Why is my controller off? There we go.
Is something the matter?
I gazed off into the distance when Mayuko interrupted me.
Were you reminiscing about something?
No, not at all.
I made a light smile.
But I felt like the scenery was about to make me remember something.
Something fun.
Mayuko smiled as well. I reached out to the sandwich box to realize there was only one left. I paused and glanced at Mayuko, and she nodded with a smile. Another sudden gust of cool wind blew past us.
Ah, it's cold.
Ah, it's cold.
Oh. We'll be having snowfall before long.
Ah,
It will get colder and colder as it rains, so we won't be able to have picnics on the roof anymore.
that's too bad, isn't it?
The conditions are rigid in the mountains. It might be boring for you, but it's best not to go outside during winter if you don't have any pressing matters.
Ah. Nah, I don't see it. Staying inside for a whole year? That'd suck.
Even after sunset, the gray clouds drifted along the sky and all the way to the sea. The woodland stretching below the heavy clouds lost their once vivid colors, making the scenery resemble an odd monochrome photograph. As I opened Sanai's door with a yawn, she looked up at me from her bed.
Hello?
Sanai closed the book she'd been holding and placed it on the bedside table. On the nearby table rested an unfinished lunch with the wrapping still in it.
Are you not feeling well?
Sanai lightly shook her head.
I was too absorbed in my book to care about anything else.
Ah,
Are you alright? I've heard you had an attack.
I'm okay. It wasn't that bad this time.
I sat down in the cane chair that had been left next to the bed. I could see some moisture accumulating on the wrap around the tray. On the other hand, the wooden dessert bowl next to it was empty.
Seemed to have eaten the coffee jelly, though.
Don't tell me it's what you came here for.
Bitch, I need my coffee jelly.
I turned to her and waved my hand.
No, I just wanted to borrow a paper knife. Those are curious about how you were doing.
Are you telling me this knife is made of paper?
No, I'm telling you a paper made that knife.
I see. I feel like a paper knife wouldn't be very good at cutting, or so you'd think. But
So
I
you'd
found this
think.
one YouTube channel.
I was gonna say, I'm sure there's a way you can make it work.
Yeah, you'd be amazed what they can make them out of these
Oh,
days.
no.
Anyway, give me a second.
Sanai turned her body without breaking her sitting position and reached out to open the drawer on the side of her table.
Same as always.
Sanai handed me the paper knife she fished out from the drawer. I walked over to her and took the knife.
That's good to hear.
Is it?
Yeah.
I suppose you're right.
Sanai also handed me a shawl that was lying on the bed.
Oh, thank you. Warm Takako get.
I hung the shawl on the back seat of the cane chair and picked up the paper knife along with the other thing I had brought.
Is Sanai also a Sachiko self-insert?
I think so, because like everyone Takako meets here is a purpleette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that Sachiko knows that things happen to Takako, doesn't remember them. She was involved, doesn't quite remember how, so she ends up filling in these different people with different facets of herself.
Yep.
Like Sanai, the other friend from the sanatorium, being an XP of her own childhood, bookish, quiet self.
Yep.
Mayuko being an XP of her older,
adult.
more adult, more responsible self, caring for Takako toward the end.
Mm-hmm. There was one other purpleette here, right?
I don't
feel
recall.
like there was.
I don't recall.
But yeah, I think that's a sensible way of looking at it.
What is this parcel-looking thing?
It's a parcel.
Oh,
I know, right? I got it from Mayuko this morning. Apparently it was sent to me. I got no idea what's inside until I open it up and see it for myself.
I undid the straps and checked the edges of the parcel. Finding the one that felt the softest, I pierced it with my newly gained knife. Pushed the knife in all the way to the other side, changing its angle. The craft paper had already fallen apart by the time I finished. There was a white cardboard box inside. As I opened its lid and turned the thing upside down, a notebook fell out.
looks like a notebook.
Said Sanai. I realized it was a notebook because it looked just like the one thing I was using for my diary here.
I realized it was a notebook because it looked just like a notebook. Wow, it's a notebook.
Wow! You're so smart, Sanai.
I inspected both its top and bottom.
Smart and sexy? And single? Listen, Takako never stops, all right?
Its color had already begun to fade, which made it look older than any of my own notebooks.
What's written in it?
And there was a date at the top of the first page with a bunch of text below it. Had the same design as our diaries.
Looks like a diary to me. Wonder whom it belonged to.
I checked both the first and last pages but couldn't find a name. After I gave up and returned to the first page and read it, Sanai interrupted me.
We don't know whose diary it is. There might have been some mistake, so maybe it'd be better to ask Mayuko about it first.
Guess you have a point.
Calling it now, this diary is going to be the one with the pages taken out from the tips section.
Right.
It's going to be that specific diary just to fuck with us.
I placed the notebook on the table. My arms felt a bit cold, so I covered them with Sanai's shawl. Felt like the temperature of Sanai's room had dropped compared to when I came in. I glanced at the window. It was covered in dew. I collected it on all my finger. I collected it all on my finger to form a droplet, which then fell down as soon as I moved my finger away.
What are you doing?
When I turned around, I saw Sanai laughing at me.
Nothing really. I noticed some dew on the window, so I thought it might have grown pretty cold outside.
I pulled my chair to a spot with more moisture, only to realize that there was something already on the window glass. Parting the curtains revealed a drawing on the window's dew-covered surface. A drawing.
Is this some kind of animal?
I messed that one up.
Sanai's face was ridden with guilt. I looked back at the glass again. Her drawing was quickly disappearing. In any case, my best guess was that it depicted some four-legged animal.
Is it a cat?
I was trying to draw a bear.
I see. Might want to do this then.
I placed a finger against the mouth of the drawing and slid it in the shape of a fish.
Is that a fish?
Salmon. You have to see bears holding them in their jaws in pictures.
Cats eat fish too.
I'm not talking about sorry here, okay? Anyway, if it doesn't look almost salmon-y enough, then look, you can make its jaw a little bit longer. Listen, if you don't know your pike from your trout, then what are you even doing here? You have no business drawing fish.
I breathed against the glass, making both the bear and the fish disappear.
Ah,
Sorry, I only wanted to erase the fish, but,
well, it's no big deal at any rate.
The white on the window melted away like an iceberg in warm water, and by the time it was gone, it left behind a pattern reminiscent of a face.
Right. I had this really scary dream the other day, but I can't remember it.
That's how most dreams are.
I remembered it just fine when I woke up, but thought I could use it to scare everyone, so I was planning not to forget it, but...
Maybe when you remember it, you'll realize it wasn't that scary at all.
Ego said the same thing. Huh. Maybe I should prepare myself a pen and some paper next time I go to sleep.
Sanai snickered to herself.
Takako, trying to jot these things down is all well and good, but are you writing in your diary after a fit, just like Ms. Mayuko told you?
I am. Just recently I spent an entire day reading through all the notebooks I'd already filled. Jeez.
Don't you want to write something else down? You might forget it all after your next attack.
I don't really have that much stuff to write about.
Mayuko didn't comment on the state of my diaries, but I had a feeling that continuing to sum up entire days in one sentence might piss her off.
Oh, that reminds me. I know there's one scary story about the sanatorium.
What kind of story? Oh.
Oh no,
We swapped.
we swapped.
Do you lock your room, Takako?
No, I can't just be bothered. What about you?
Well, you have a point. While it does feel somewhat pointless to lock our doors, the locks themselves were installed for a reason. Can you guess what that reason was?
Not really. To cause people headaches when they're trying to figure out a murder mystery? There were people here in the past, so not everyone knew each other.
I suppose that could be one explanation. However, what I've heard was the opposite. The locks were there to prevent patients from leaving their rooms.
So they wouldn't escape?
You wouldn't suspect it now, but in the past, there were apparently cases of patients going missing. The nurses began locking them in their rooms so they wouldn't try to escape and hide during the night.
Why would they try to escape? Were the chores too hard for them or something?
Apparently, it was more related to their memories. Did you remember anything when you read your diary, Takako?
There are a few words I can remember all that well, but I feel like that's still within healthy boundaries.
They didn't use diaries in the past. They didn't even know the symptoms led to memory loss and were instead trying to treat them. Anyway, they didn't occupy themselves with their memories too much, and some patients ended up forgetting almost everything about themselves.
You mean they became like amnesiacs?
Sanai slightly tilted her head.
As in, forgetting all your memories since birth. That's what you're thinking about, right?
I nodded.
Our symptoms are somewhat different, though. First, you have to realize that your various memories of phenomena happening around you, as well as your feelings in response to said phenomena, are different things. In our case, we mostly lose the feeling part of our memories. We might vaguely remember what happened, but we don't remember how we felt about it. Anyway, that's the kind of memory loss we're dealing with.
I more or less understood the difference from her explanation. I gave her another few nods.
Well, what of it? If you can remember the facts of your past, you won't forget how to read or write or any other skills you need to survive in the world.
Anyway, the ultimate endpoint of our condition is that we lose our individuality, our personalities, if you will. We lose interest in what we used to like and forget what we hated. That's the extent of what I was told about it. To give an example, imagine reading a book and understanding what's going on, but not feeling anything about it. Or having a meal and understanding its taste, but being unable to decide whether or not it's delicious.
That would suck.
I think the symptoms had a name, but I've already forgotten. I think it was memory loss something.
I briefly pondered what she had just told me and realized that her story about locks hadn't been finished yet.
I got the part about her condition, but what does it have to do with locks?
Ah, that's right. Anyway, one of the early patients who displayed this memory loss something went missing, apparently. They couldn't find them, no matter where they looked. Everyone, from the nurses to the town militia, searched all over the mountain but found nothing. At the time, they even thought that the person may have been spirited away.
Aw, shit, this better not be an isekai. They'll get us canceled on Cohost. Ah.
On top of it...
Sanai went on in an emphasized tone.
Oh!
Whoa! Okay. So, we just had Takako's silhouette appear and then disappear. We have
Yep.
Kozue in the foreground.
Yep.
We have Mayuko in the
Yep.
middle ground.
And Sachiko.
Sachiko furthest to the back.
Yep.
Interesting.
This entire section has just been weird, by the way.
Yeah.
I know I haven't been commenting, but like this, as soon as this started and she got the red silhouette of, it was like,
Hell
oh,
yeah, it's turning into a horror game.
All right.
If it ended there, it probably wouldn't have become as big of a thing. But sometime later, another patient disappeared the exact same way.
Did that patient have the same symptoms too?
Yes. Anyway, we have finally reached the part about the locks. After the second case, the sanatorium added locks to the rooms of every patient to prevent any similar cases from cropping up. At the time, you couldn't unlock the rooms from the inside, and the sanatorium staff had complete control over who would leave their rooms and when.
And did that help anything?
Sanai shook her head.
Oh,
From what I've heard, people continued to go missing even after that. Patients that were confirmed to be in their rooms before bedtime disappeared by morning.
didn't they just climb out through the window or something?
The windows were locked too, and there were no signs of the locks being broken either. They all vanished like a wisp of smoke. It was a perfect locked room.
Do you know how hard it is for me to not make askance jokes that accidentally spoil tangential parts of that game?
Yeah.
It's like every joke I want to make about a locked room, how you would solve a locked room is like, oh, no, that spoils that part of that game. Fun.
It's not like people could actually do that though.
Everyone felt the same way, of course, but no matter how much they searched, they couldn't find a single trace of the missing patients. The only thing they understood was that the patients who had forgotten all about themselves and lost their personalities would eventually disappear.
No. Huh.
I tried to more or less summarize Sanai's story in my mind. Patients didn't use diaries in the past. As the symptoms of memory loss grew worse, they forgot who they were. Finally, they disappeared without a trace. The story was peculiar, but then again, so was the sanatorium. I never heard about this kind of sickness before. Besides, patients here had jobs and duties, despite this being a sanatorium supposedly meant for relaxation. I also noticed that if this is Sachiko backfilling with parts of her own present, Takako's disease probably had nothing to do with her memory. Probably just something tragic and incurable. And,
Yep.
But framing it this way kind of
Takako
gives it more purpose and meaning, and
Yeah. Takako just contracted ligma, sadly.
of course. Actually, if our theory is right, the saddest part about this game is that it's about an old woman who is losing her memory and as she gets older, and the one thing she can't forget was how much she loved Takako,
Yep.
which is really sad. Well, the part about, I never heard about this kind of sickness before. Besides, patients here had jobs and duties, despite this being a sanatorium supposedly meant for relaxation. Well, the part about work was probably because Mayuko was the only nurse on the grounds and couldn't manage everything by herself, but still, it's kind of weird that there were no doctors here, for example. I didn't think too much about it before, but it was peculiar for sure. Remember that odd feeling when I had cleaning the storage room. Maybe this place still had some unknown secrets.
Anyway, it's all just a rumor, though.
Did it get really Yume Nikki in here for just a moment, or was it just me? It was pretty interesting, though. Still, the part about people just disappearing didn't make much sense.
Well, that's just how most rumors are.
Then again, most rumors have a bit of truth mixed into them, no?
If you're curious, you can always try it for yourself. I mean, you were complaining that writing your diary was a pain in the neck.
Isn't that what it all comes down to?
Sanae snickered to herself.
This game is stressing me out, bro.
I said my goodbyes to Sanae and left the room. Sanae, still waving at me, disappeared behind the door. Wearing only my short sleeves, I felt the corridor to be somewhat chilly. The nighttime cold of the mountains seeped in through the transparent windows. Shoved my hands into my pockets and continued down the corridor. A strong gust of wind rattled the window, startling me. Glancing at the window, I saw only the reflections of myself in the door behind me. I thought back to Sanae's story and wondered if I should check the doors of all the rooms on my way back, just for the heck of it. All the doors had the same design, and their knobs were identical. There was a small gap between the door and the floor. The faint light in the corridor was not enough to fully illuminate it. It felt almost as if the darkness was slithering out of the rooms through it. The window rattled behind me again. Brought back to reality by that sound, I gave up on looking at the doors, reached the spiral staircase and ascended to my floor. Temperatures began to rapidly fall, starting with that night. Around midnight, the wind rattled my window so badly I half expected it to break open. It made me jump out of the bed, reminding me of what Mayuko and Sanae had said about the wind around this time of year. I wondered what would become of the leaves on the tree I saw through Sanae's window. There was no way they could withstand the wind this strong. I got back to my bed, turned to my side in the fetal position. Making sure not to accidentally open any gaps on my back, I closed my eyes. Temperature suddenly dropped the next morning, just like Mayuko and Sanae had warned. Oh, and Sanae also caught a cold. Rip.
Rip to Sanae, but I'm different.
Holding the folded towel by its two ends, I gave it a hard wring. The water it had absorbed dripped down into the basin below, and placed the cool, wet towel on the forehead of the feverish Sanae.
Guess we're at the turning point of the seasons, huh? It was really cold yesterday, too.
Sanae blinked a few times instead of a reply.
Still feeling out of it? This is gonna be rice gruel or something along those lines for lunch, then. I'll have Mayuko bring it to you.
Aren't you bored?
Yeah, it's a shame we can't talk much, but still being cooped up in my room.
I made a long yawn.
Ah!
When I opened my eyes, I saw Sanae staring right at me.
I couldn't sleep that well yesterday. Oh.
I didn't sleep that well yesterday.
You should sleep. I'm going to be fine,
Said Sanae in a small voice.
No, I'm good.
Sanae regarded me for a few moments, then finally closed her eyes.
Want me to read you something?
Rather, I'd like to hear the continuation of your story.
Oh, which one?
The story about your trip, the one you didn't finish last time.
Oh, okay. More vacation time. Who doesn't love more stories about vacations that may or may not have happened? It's unlikely. Join us next time, everyone, if you want to hear more about my trip with Sachiko. My dinner with Sachiko. There we go.
See you all then, everyone. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.